Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. So let's kick things off with a significant development on the international stage because oil prices have taken a very noticeable dip. You probably seen it at your gas pump earlier this morning, or when you get out today, you may see that as well. And the catalyst behind its shift is the budding prospect of peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. Well, not necessarily Russia in Ukraine, but is most likely to be Russia and the United States of America. So that is why you guys are seeing some relief at the pump. Now, President Trump has announced that both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky are eager to find a peaceful resolution to the ongoing conflict in this response. And as I reported on yesterday, that Russia as well as the U.S. are in peace negotiations that deals with Ukraine, the Ukraine-Russia conflict, but nonetheless, Ukraine wasn't invited to the cookout. And so a lot of people are crying foul behind that, and they believe that Ukraine should be part of the talks. I believe they should be part of the talks as well. But again, if they can come to a peaceful resolution and Ukraine is not a part of it, is not good for Ukraine as well as the world. But I really think that President Putin really wants a piece of Ukraine. I don't know if it's economic, resources, strategic defense. I don't know the reasons behind it, but nonetheless, it seems as though he wants a small piece of Ukraine. It kind of reminds me of the situation between the U.S., Israel, and the Gaza Strip. I won't give any comments on it, but you already know what I'm alluding to, and maybe your assertions are correct. But nonetheless, they're eager to find a peaceful resolution in response. Now, U.S. officials have been directed to commence discussions aimed at ending the hostilities. The move has led to a decline in oil prices, with Brent crude falling by 0.9% to $74.50 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas immediate dropping to $70 a barrel. The anticipation is that a peace agreement could ease the supply disruptions caused by sanctions, which have previously kept oil prices elevated. Because I want to know, if America was buying crude oil from Russia, because Russia was supplying almost the entire European nation. A lot of those European countries were dependent on European oil. Now, I thought a ploy was to keep Russia at a standstill where we can start to export a lot of American oil to a lot of these other countries. But there's these two major types of oil, and I'm not too familiar with it. So if any oil gurus are out there, please correct me. But you have heavy oil and light oil. I know people say crude oil and refined oil or some other terminologies, but nonetheless, you have heavy oil and light oil. I believe heavy oil is the oil that we break down for all the products and, lubricants, things that go inside of cars and machinery. The light oil is kind of used for other things that I'm not too much familiar with. But I believe we have more light oil than we have heavy oil. So that's possibly some of the reasons why we haven't exported a lot of our oil, but we're trying to find ways that we can use our oil and other apparatuses. So again, there's still a business deal to be made there. But again, this is one of the reasons why oil prices are dipping. And again, I feel like the economy is based upon emotions, and it's based upon emotions from, economists, consumers, politicians, business people. It's just a mixed bag of different emotions because the economy has never been this. The economy does this and it goes like this. It's very similar to a stock. The entire economy, it doesn't matter what country you are in, they kind of operate the same, but the economy operates like a stock. It goes up, it goes down. This happened, it goes up. That happened, it goes down. And that's the kind of way that you guys can look at it. That's essentially the way that I look at it. Now, turning our attention to the Middle East, there's a glimmer of hope amidst longstanding tensions. Hamas has confirmed its commitment to the ongoing Gaza ceasefire, has announced plans to release more Israeli hostages as part of the agreement. This development comes despite mutual accusations between Israel and Hamas of violating the truce terms. Mediators from Egypt and Qatar are actively working to ensure the full implementation of the ceasefire, which includes facilitating the entry of humanitarian aid and temporary shelters into Gaza. While the situation remains delicate, these steps could pave the way for a more sustainable peace in the region. And this is a good thing. They do need more temporary shelters in Gaza instead of trying to deport or export Gazians to Jordan and Egypt and other Arab nations. This is their country. If they want to stay in a very war-torn country and reestablish themselves and rebuild their country, they should do that. In America, President Trump, we should not be involved. Okay, if anything, we're going to be involved in the peace negotiations and the ceasefire dealings. But as far as he's touted and stated that we should take over Gaza, I don't believe majority of America, there's some hard Trump supporters that, you know, that 1% of the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, of the MAGA crowd. I don't even believe people who quote unquote call themselves MAGA. And MAGA is just an abbreviation of Make America Great Again. But the way we have made MAGA as though they're a group because they're really staunch, hard, cemented Trump supporters. And then you have your Republicans who support the legislation of Trump and may like some of the things that Trump doing, but they're still somewhat neutral, but they're still conservative. So as long as he stays conservative, they're on board, you know? But when we look at this, a lot of them are like, no, we should leave the Middle East alone. Again, we have a very dark history in the Middle East as Americans. We had a lot of soldiers, you know, perish in the Middle East. I mean, if we compare it to the Vietnam War, if we compare it to World War II, we're looking at a lot of American lives perishing at wars that World War II, yeah, we're going to get involved, but the Vietnam War, we got to chop it up as a loss. It's not a strategically retrograded activity. No, we lost. We try to go in, we try to change it, but North Vietnam War. And again, we have to take our whoopings on the tail. We have to pat ourselves on the back and say we did a good job. But unfortunately, a lot of Americans died during the Vietnam War. And a lot of Americans had been displaced by the Vietnam War. We see a lot of Vietnam War veterans, unfortunately, homeless, okay? So again, I don't believe, is war needed? Can everything be negotiated? I believe war is only, and I don't want to say needed, but war is only warranted when there's no longer talks. Like we're no longer negotiating, we're no longer conversing, we're no longer having talks where someone says, nope, I'm done. Once the talks end, that's when the fighting begins, unfortunately. So hopefully they continue to talk. They continue to work these things out. They continue to support the release of hostages of the Israelis, as well as supporting the Gazians and you know, the very horrific scene that they have there on the Gaza Strip. So again, there's a lot to be done, and I hope those things be done very, very peacefully. Now, of course, he's continuing to sign a lot of executive orders. Trump is signing a lot of executive orders dealing with tariffs. He has revealed a significant shift in the U.S. trade policy. He plans to implement reciprocal tariffs designed to match the import taxes that other countries impose on U.S. goods. Because when a lot of these countries heard that Trump was going to put tariffs on the EU and all these other countries, they said, you know what, we're going to put the same tariffs on America. So Trump said, okay, you're going to put the same tariffs on us. Now we're going to put more tariffs on you, because this move is expected to have substantial impact on the global economy, with potential consequences, including depressed growth and heightened inflation. And we've already been hearing, and I'll jump ahead here very quickly, because we're going to talk about this as well, of inflation. New inflation numbers are at odds with Donald Trump's promises to lower prices. So again, we don't live in a U.S. economy. We live in a worldwide economy. And it's important that we understand that. And so a lot of the moves that the president make, again, as I stated this, initially may hurt the American citizen, may hurt the American consumer initially. Could these things pan out to be beneficial for us? Absolutely. But initially, we're going to feel some pain. Because again, he's signing these reciprocal tariffs. It's kind of like, okay, you're imposing tariffs on us, then we're going to impose more tariffs on you, on U.S. goods. This move, again, is expected to have these very large global impacts on the economy. While the administration argues that these tariffs will bolster domestic manufacturing jobs, economists warn that they could lead to increased costs for American consumers, adding to existing inflationary pressures. Now, Trump has already imposed additional tariffs on Chinese imports and has threatened new tariffs on Canada and Mexico. And the actions could escalate into a broader trade conflict. Now, hopefully that doesn't pan out the way that we all looking at it, because again, building on the topic of tariffs is essential to consider the broader economic implication that American consumers are already grappling with rising costs for essential, things like groceries, gas, housing, and services. For instance, egg prices have surged by 53%. And again, there's lovers of eggs. There are people who don't eat eggs. For those who love eggs like myself, this may be very significant news for you. And car insurance costs have increased by 12% year over year. And can we talk about car insurance? I don't recall if it was Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle, and they were talking about you pay car insurance each and every month. Some of you guys pay on a 6-month term. You may even pay for the year for your car insurance, but it's not like they give you a refund. It's not like they say, you know what? You haven't had any speeding tickets that put points on your license that increase your insurance, stating that you're an unsafe driver. You had no DWIs. You had no accidents. You weren't involved in any accidents, will either be your fault or the other drivers. You know what? You paid, let's take, for instance, I'm going to take a very low number so we can all fathom. You pay $100 for 6 months. We're going to give you $30 back, or you can use it as a credit for your next 6-month term. Do insurance companies do that? Nope. Insurance companies have it great. Now, granted, you being a driver who has full insurance on your vehicle, let's take, for instance, you pay $150 a month. More times than not, with either your first term or your second term, your insurance prices go up, not because you did anything wrong. They will tell you when you call in, you ask, why did my insurance price increase? They say, well, there has been, an increase in accidents within your area. So they do this accumulative microcosm of your community and raise your insurance, even though you have not done anything wrong. You haven't gotten any speeding tickets. You haven't had any DWIs. You haven't been involved in any accidents or any of the sort, but your insurance still rises. Do we ever get a refund or a rebate or a credit or anything? Absolutely not. That's why insurance companies, whether it be car insurance, health insurance, or any type of insurance, even business insurance, because I paid it as well, none of them give you a rebate or a credit because you have been doing well. They just keep it and they benefit from it. So again, he should be looking inside of insurance as well, in my opinion. And a lot of you may agree to that as well. Now, despite President Trump's campaign promises to tackle inflation and make America more affordable, his early policies, particularly in the imposition of tariffs on Chinese goods and recently on steel and aluminum, appear to be exacerbating the cost of living crisis. Now, additionally, stricter immigration policies are reducing the workforce in sectors dependent on immigrant labor. They mean illegal immigrant labor, further driving up costs. Studies indicate that previous tariffs had already added billions to consumer expenses, and the new measures are expected to intensify this trend. Now, if this goes the way that I believe a lot of us are thinking, because now that a lot of illegal immigrants, not that they're out of the country just yet, it's probably only thousands, even though we probably have over 13 million illegal immigrants. So a couple of thousand that has been exported is not even a drop in the bucket, okay? It's more like a mist in a bucket. But nonetheless, Americans need to start taking these jobs, okay? Not need to start, going into these jobs. But what's going to happen, a lot of these illegal immigrants who are having a lot of these jobs that people stated that Americans did not want to work is because, again, the wages were so low they couldn't have affordable living wages. So you're telling me I'm only making $6 an hour, but it at least takes me $12 an hour to live anywhere in the area. So they're going to have to raise wages in order for Americans to come in and do those jobs. And then we can start seeing some relief in these products and services. But until then, there's going to be a high demand and low supply because we no longer have illegal immigrants. So again, now that we're starting to see the illegal immigrants either deport themselves or we help and assist them in deporting them back to their countries, we're going to need American style to take these jobs. And I would like to believe that a lot of high school kids, during the summer, college kids, people in some of their first careers can get a lot of these jobs because for some reason, people were thinking that illegal immigrants were only taking jobs dealing with fruit. Oh, they're just picking strawberries and oranges. No, they're in manufacturing, they're in distribution, they're in construction, okay? They are in healthcare, especially those those medical aides, people who assist elderly people at their homes. They had all those jobs. So there's a lot of people who are now qualified or who can easily get qualified to take those jobs. So again, we can put Americans back to work. But we're going to need people to take those jobs nonetheless. Now, this is a topic that we've been talking about for quite some time because President Trump has suggested that Canada has become, or should become rather, the 51st U.S. state. And the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, initially dismissed the idea. Reports indicate that there have been serious discussions behind the scenes. I don't know what we're discussing. Either you want to be a 51st state or you don't. And you're going to stand 10 toes down on that. I don't know if Americans even they don't even want Canadians to be the 51st states. Don't forget, Canadians have their own history. Canadians have their own history, and I would like to believe, well, I'm always leaving on the side of positivity for some reason, because I was going to say I would like to believe that most Americans at least know the first two words of the Canadian national anthem. And the only thing I know is, "Oh, Canada." That's all I know. I don't even know if that's the right melody or not. But I don't know if Americans even want Canada to be the 51st state. Have anyone consulted with the American people who actually voted in the election to elect Donald Trump as president? Did they ask any of you guys who voted for him? I think not. But while Canadian President Minister Justin Trudeau initially dismissed the idea, it stated that there have been serious discussions behind the scenes. For such a monumental change to occur, several steps will be necessary, including congressional approval and a presidential signature. They're going to get the signature. It's Congress what we're going to have to worry about. A referendum in Canada will likely be required to gauge public interest, meaning a survey, which currently appears low. Canadians don't want to be American. They love to be Canadians, like the ginger drink, Canadian Dry. But anyway, the addition of Canada as a state would significantly impact U.S. elections due to its large population. Historically, discussions around adding new states have included territories like Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., both of which face significant legislative hurdles. The last state added to the U.S. was Hawaii in 1959. Now, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., and the only thing I won't even say that it was significant that Bill Clinton did. It was a sign of symbolism. And I just wonder, why didn't Bill Clinton do an executive order or try to pass some sort of legislation or bill to make D.C. a state? Why wasn't D.C. made a state, the 51st state? Because now, again, it's just a district. And when you learn in D.C. history, if my memory serves me correctly, Maryland and Virginia gave land or borrowed land to create D.C. And initially, D.C. was created for, doctors, lawyers, politicians, businessmen. And during that time, a lot of Black Americans, we were in the service industry. We were nurses, we were stay-at-home moms for, the rich, wealthy, and powerful. We did a lot of, street cleaning jobs and trash trucks and anything dealing with servicing, but none of us lived in DC at the time. And so because of slowed services, because of us coming from Virginia and Maryland to make it into DC, they started to make certain areas in DC that were, low income, So blacks could serve the rich, wealthy, and powerful. Majority of them were white. And so by making these low areas, that infused DC with a large population of black people. At one point in time, when I grew up in DC, DC was 70% black. 70% black. I didn't see, no, let me dial back. I didn't meet a white teenage kid until I played football in high school. Yeah. I remember when we went spelunking. I was a freshman or a junior in high school. We went spelunking, also known as caving, in Hoppers Ferry, Virginia. And that was one of the first time I truly interacted with someone who was non-black. Don't forget, 70% black. I mean, everywhere you went in DC, it was just black people. And that was all stemming from services that the rich, wealthy, and powerful wanted. And then again, you let the floodgates open. So people wanted to be close to jobs and opportunities. So people moved from Virginia and Maryland to DC. Now that they have infused gentrification in DC, now you're seeing the flip side of that. Majority of Black Americans who are low income have moved to Virginia and Maryland. And DC, they have, renovated a lot of the low income areas to high priced condos and housing communities. So again, why wasn't DC the 51st state? Because the only thing Bill Clinton did was put on the DC tag was, if I can recall it correctly, was taxation without representation. That is what he allowed to put on the District of Columbia tax, was taxation without representation, but never proposed a bill to making DC a state. Not to my recollection anyway. Okay? So again, Canada, I'm not too thrilled about it. I've been to Canada. I've been to Vancouver, as well as Toronto. Canada is very beautiful, but they have a lot of uncharted land that people don't live in. And Canada, believe it or not, is a very large country, but majority of the country is uninhabitable and people don't live there. So again, when I look at it, is it really worth it? I don't know. I don't really think it is. I don't really think it's worth it at all. Now, Elon Musk stating that he will withdraw nearly $100 billion bid if, nonprofits, OpenAI, ChatGPT, etc., remains nonprofit. Okay. Elon Musk leads an offer to buy ChatGPT's parent company for nearly $100 billion. And do Elon Musk really need to buy ChatGPT? Because he already has embedded inside of Twitter, also known as X, or X, also known as Twitter, Gronk, which is his own AI that he's embedded inside of Twitter. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. I'm a big fan of AI nonetheless, but it's already embedded. This is expanding his global empire. Okay, it's expanding his global empire. And this is one of the conversations, very briefly, that we need to have, where America has always stopped rich and powerful people from owning everything. Okay, owning everything. So people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates start to diversify. Can we still say diversify? Can we still say diversity? Can we say that? Because they banned diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can we say diversity? Hold on. They started to diversify their portfolio of their business ownings. So again, don't forget Elon Musk, electric car maker, Tesla. He also, under that also brand, he has Tesla solar power roofs, Tesla solar power batteries, or not solar power batteries, but batteries for your home. He also has Starlink. It's a satellite communication company. He has the Boring Company that he makes tunnels and travel pathways underground. No, not the Nothing Company, the Boring Company. He has a Boring Company. And also under the Boring Company, he made a flamethrower. What else am I missing here? What else am I missing? I know that you guys probably know more so than I. He also has SpaceX, okay, space exploration and advanced technology. Gronk, that's AI as well, which is considered a large language model. So again, him buying OpenAI is no big deal. I don't think he should buy it anyway. I think we should let other people have a chance to expand their global empire. So again, he doesn't become a monolith where he's controlling the very infrastructure of the world, let alone America. Okay. And again, he's doing great things, I believe, with Deutsche. This has nothing to do, against Deutsche or anything like that. But again, when you start having one man to have majority ownership of all these advanced technology, we need to diversify. We need to diversify. I saw this clip that he posted on X of Maxine Waters, and she sounds like an idiot. I just have to put it out there. I want you guys to listen to this very quickly. She's not liking what Deutsche is doing, and she snitched on herself. She had a Freudian slip here. Listen in.
Of this country are being violated because all of our privacy is being taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us. The people of this country are being violated because all of our privacy is being taken up by Elon Musk and Trump, and we don't know what all they have on us. We don't know what all they have on us.
Was that a Freudian slip? We don't know all what they have on us. Now, you, Maxine Waters, and other politicians, I don't care if they're independent, Republicans, or Democrat, you are a public official. You're supposed to be a public servant. You're supposed to serve the public. But what we're finding out is a lot of these government officials are self-serving. They serve themselves. As I told you, I'm 10 toes down on this statement. It seems as though when people become politicians or in the higher echelons of government, within 3 years, they're multimillionaires. Like, how do you go from making $80,000, $120,000, I'll even jump it up to $150,000 a year, and in 3 years, you're a multimillionaire? Oh, well, Black Logic, they diversify their portfolio and they invest in these stocks. How do they invest in these stocks? And somehow they have some model or predictive analysis matrix that shows them that this stock is going to raise 15 or 25% in the next year, and then 3-4 timesing their portfolio and their earnings. No, this is why they need to stop insider trading with politicians, because you, the public, we don't have the same benefit of knowing the IPO even before it's released. Like a lot of these IPOs, before they are released, they go to these secret investors, okay? They go to these not angel investors, but they go to these secret investors. There's another name for them. Private investors, secret investors, nonetheless, and they invest in these stocks. So initially the IPO release was going to be $30 a share. But because they have all these investments and people backing them, they now raise that stock to $35 to $40 a share. Then what happens? They have pre-IPO release where politicians go in and buy for $30. So you're going to pay $35, they're going to pay $30, and sometimes even less than that. And they're not just buying like you or me. They're a share here, a share there, maybe 10 shares. Maybe you just got your tax return. Maybe you got a bonus on your job, so you bought 25 shares. No, they're buying thousands of shares. They're buying thousands of shares. So again, they have insider trading. So miss me with all of that, Maxine Waters. Let Deutsche, a government department, organization, audit the federal government and the people who have been benefiting from it. Again, yeah, she's a Democrat, but again, I'm talking about everybody. But what they're saying is, not Maxine Waters, but a lot of people who are stating, well, it seems as though they're only going out against the, highly ran or people who are in place who are Democrats. Again, the transparency that we find out from Deutsche is refreshing, and I'm not against it. So there you have it. And again, thank you guys for joining me here this morning. Jermaine Anderson, thank you, my good moderator, as well as Volvo. Good morning to you all. If you're new to Black Logic, please subscribe to the channel. Now, for one of the best segments of my broadcast here today, let's talk about no other than Bessie Coleman. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this powerful sister here. Yeah, but I really, really want you guys to imagine a time when women were not allowed to fly airplanes and black people were denied entry into aviation schools. I wonder because for some reason, the term DEI seems as though it's been attached to black people. And I don't want to keep giving the same statistics from the Department of Labor, how black people benefit from DEI initiatives last, and that is white women, white men, Hispanics, Asian, LGBTQ, then black people. I don't want to get into that. I do want to make a very heinous joke. Was she a DEI hire? Was Bessie Coleman a DEI hire, been the first black woman with the aviation license? Let's talk about it, because maybe she was. But I want you guys to imagine where black people couldn't fly, let alone women. Now I want you to imagine a black and Native American woman breaking all barriers to become the first of her kind to earn an international pilot's license, because initially she could not get a license in America. But we're talking about Bessie Coleman, the fearless aviator who became the first black American woman and first Native American woman, which a lot of black Americans have Native American blood. Check your genealogy, check your ancestry.com. Like I have, I think I'm 2%, but it seems as though she's probably about 10%. I digress. I don't know. That's my conjecture. She earned an international pilot's license in France because the U.S. flight schools refused to accept a black woman. She became a symbol of black excellence in aviation history, inspiring generations to follow their dream. At a time when racism and sexism tried to ground her, she took flight and made history. She had to go to France. She was born in 1892 in Atlanta, and that's Atlanta, Texas, by the way. Bessie Coleman was the daughter of sharecroppers and grew up in poverty in segregated America. She walked 4 miles each day to attend a one-room schoolhouse. Despite limited resources, she excelled in math and reading. She later moved to Chicago, working as a manicurist while dreaming of becoming a pilot, looking into the great blue sky. But in the early 20th century America, aviation was off limits to black people and women. Every flight school refused to admit her, but she refused to give up. When American flight schools shut their doors on her, Bessie found another way. She learned French. Comment allez-vous? Je m'amuse toi et vous. Merci beaucoup. And applied to aviation school in France. In 1921, she became the first black woman and Native American woman to earn an international pilot's license. She trained under the best World War I pilots, learning advanced aerial maneuvers. Bessie Coleman had to leave the U.S. to achieve her dream. But when she returned, she was a legend. After earning her license, Coleman returned to America as a sensation. She performed daring stunt flights, looping and diving in the sky. She gave speeches encouraging black people to enter aviation. She refused to perform at segregated events, demanding equality. You won't let black people attend, but you want a black person to perform. This will not happen. She said, this will not happen. Yeah, we remember the slavery days. My great-grandfather told me, my great-grandmother told me, where you used to have black people, you call them Negroes and niggas. You had black people to fight for your entertainment. You had black people to play instruments for your entertainment. I will not be your entertainment if other black people cannot attend. That's what she said. She wasn't just flying, she was breaking racial and gender barriers with every flight. Even after earning her license, Coleman faced racism from white audiences who didn't believe a black woman could fly. God damn it. Why don't some of these people believe that black people are just people with dark melanated hue skin? It doesn't matter here, during Black History Month, the one time that, people can really highlight a very shadowed demographic of people, instead of all the exploitation and symbolism of the media, depicting black people as criminals, we displaying our greatness. And still to this day, just reading the story, this is back in 1800, early 1900, but still to this day, they still believe that black people are not capable. Remember, I think it was Charlie Kirk or someone was stating that he wouldn't want to be on a flight with a black pilot. Well, those white pilots, it was either World War I or World War II. My memory forgets me. I think it was World War II, where you had the Red Tails, the Tuskegee Airmen protecting the bombers. They said, we don't care who's flying those planes. But they didn't have any bombers to be destroyed over their watch. When the Red Tails were escorting bombers to their drop site, not one bomber was destroyed. They said, yeah, okay, if it's they're black people flying those planes? Because America has sensationalized and exploited black folk as though we are unworthy, that we're unintelligent. It doesn't matter the many inventions and innovations and breakthroughs that we've made, not only for America, but for the entire world. Why do y'all still think like that? It doesn't matter, Asian, Hispanic, white, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander. People are great. We're all Homo sapiens. We're just a different race. We just have different genealogy. We have different phenotypes. My apologies of the rant. God damn it. But nonetheless, she persisted using her fame to inspire black communities to enter aviation and dream big. In 1926, at just 34 years of age, Coleman tragically died in a plane accident while preparing for an air show. Her untimely death cut short her dream of opening a flight school for black pilots. Despite her legacy lived on, her courage inspired the Tuskegee Airmen and future generations of black aviators. Today, Bessie Coleman's name is etched in aviation history. The U.S. Postal Service honored her with a commemorative stamp. Bessie Coleman Aero Club was founded in 1929 to train black pilots. Every year, black pilots honor her by flying over her grave. We thank you, Bessie Coleman. She didn't just fly, she soared beyond the limits placed on her race and gender. So the next time you see a black pilot, a woman flying a plane, or hear about aviation pioneers, I want you guys to remember Bessie Coleman. And I believe the reason why I believe I'm so passionate about, not only Bessie Coleman, but black aviators in general and how we need more black aviators is not because of this political thing about, representation and symbolism. No, we need to get into fields where we've had breakthroughs and we have really supported the infrastructure and economy of America. A lot of these social, like therapists and social worker, they are bombarded and we're overrepresented in those. We need to start to really attack, being lawyers and doctors and aviators. Okay, being not a fighter pilot, but a pilot altogether is a trade. It's a trade. You can go to trade school and be a pilot nonetheless. But again, we need to get into a lot of these engineering schools and coding schools and automation classes and certifications. C++, A++, Cisco security system. Maybe some of us can work for the Space Force. I have a good buddy who is a prime military member who works for the Space Force or did work for Space Force at the time. But nonetheless, these are some of the industries that we need to have more people in, okay? But the reason why I believe I'm so passionate about this is because my son wants to be a pilot. His school actually has a pilot program, okay? I believe once he joins high school, he does 4 years. I'm still trying to recall if he gets his pilot license, because even in high school, they're going to be flying. And from there, I think they have to do another 2 years working under another pilot, but altogether it's roughly like a 5 or 6 year program. And after about roughly 6 years, 2 years after high school, he'll be a full-fledged pilot. And I also want him to go to college to be an engineer, whether it be electrical or manufacturing, excuse me. So again, I believe that's why I'm so passionate about this particular one. But again, this whole DEI, affirmative action, really needs to be thrown away because it never assisted and supported Black folk. But that is the way that mainstream media has labeled it and made it to be. And I absolutely hate it. Absolutely hate it. And here's the thing. For people who just listen to one news or one news channel. Maybe you listen to Fox, maybe you listen to CNN, that's all you listen to. Okay, you really need to do a deep dive, because people don't value other groups of people if they don't see the contributions that you've made to the country, let alone the world. And Black Americans have made a lot of contributions to America. And I'm not just talking about social movements. We can get rid of all the social movements for the conversation at hand. And we can look at the technological advancement. We can look at the space advancement, the medical advancements, okay, railroad advancement that we've made. Just look these people up. Look up Granville T. Woods. Look up him up of all the railroad advancement that he's made with technologies. So again, there's more to Black people than these social movements that Black people are mad because they got rid of DEI. No, we're not. No, we have. Anytime we're a part of any of these organizations, that is because they're looking at our resume like, okay, wow, look at all the things that this person had to do to get this position. Instead of being the senior business analyst, you're just a business analyst. But you have over 15 years of experience. You have your bachelor's and master's degree. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So again, anytime a lot of these people are talking about that they eradicated DEI initiatives, I want you guys to double down and say good. Say good. I'm glad. Because you know you wasn't a DEI hire. Majority of the people that you're probably working with is a DEI hire. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these initiatives and affirmative action did not help Black folk. They helped everybody else, especially illegal immigrants. Yeah. So again, they say, oh, well, I guess there's going to be a change here because they're getting rid of a lot of the DEI initiatives, rolling back a lot of the DEI programs. Good. I'm glad they are. You're glad that they're not. Yeah, let's talk about it. Nonetheless, you guys have a great and wonderful morning. And if you're new to Black Logic, please hit the subscribe button and tune in for this evening. You guys have a great and wonderful morning. This is Black Logic.